on that left side that's not moving? Can you feel it in your left shoulder at all, or mostly just the right?
No, mostly just the right.
Okay, so now if we lift that hand off of your lap, now, does that change it?
Then I feel a little bit more.
Yeah, so you can really do increments of making it a little less difficult, a little more difficult, and then the more difficult would be out here. And then you can even, go faster, you can go slower. That eccentric as you're coming in, the slow is really good for strengthening.
And this is just a simple set of bands that you ordered off of Amazon,
correct?
And so they come in how many different colors?
So usually it's about 4 colors, 4 to 5 colors, and it usually goes yellow, red, green, blue, and black is the most difficult.
So as you get stronger, then you can still do the same exercise, but you just pick a different color band to move up to the next resistance.
Correct.
So, what we're showing today is giving you the opportunity to start from the beginning, maybe the beginning of your exercise endeavor, and you'll be able to work your way up so that you can get stronger as you go along.
Correct. This band, I think I mentioned earlier, is a latex-free band, and so what's nice is they come in rolls, and you can even just create a little handle on it, so you could actually do almost the same exact thing with the latex-free, and I just created a little handle there. So just
pull it out.
And you just pull it out.
And what muscles then are we working right now as I'm doing this?
So that's the infraspinatus, so it's the big external rotator of the shoulder. And because in our society we have a tendency to hunch forward, it tends to be stretched out and it tends to be weak. And so by having you in this neutral alignment and then strengthening in that's a really important muscle. And it doesn't get used as much when you're propelling a manual chair.
Right. And you want to make sure that you do both sides.
Correct.
And how many reps do you feel like is a good place to start?
That's actually a really good question. So I have kind of a rule of thumb. When you lose your form, so when you find yourself like your shoulder rolling forward, or you find yourself elevating, wearing your shoulders as earrings, or you find yourself like having to brace more with the opposite arm, that means you're losing your form. So for some it might be 3 repetitions, for some it might be 12 or 15 or 20 repetitions. You'll also feel that kind of muscular burn, and then you want to take a kind of a 1 minute physiological break, I call it, and then go 3 or 4 rounds. And that's really how you can build the strength there. It's about the quality and the ability to maintain your neutral posture. So let's talk about one, and we're going just a few basics. This is video 1 of many to come. And so we want to get the key muscles that we often find. So taking the TheraBand and cinching it. So I'm going to have you kind of get in position, and then we're going to talk about that.
With these towels?
You can actually go without the towels,
okay.
Yep. So you can just kind of drop those down.
I'm going to give you those.
Sometimes I will take just tape, athletic tape, and wrap it around the towels, and then they're my main towels that I use. Okay, so you're going to cinch it up, and then you're going to kind of bring your hands in close. And then what you're going to do is you're going to squeeze your shoulder blades together and down, like as if you were going to tuck them in your back pocket. And then you're going to bring your shoulders forward. So you can see there's not, I would say maybe even a little less forward, so it's more like back and then to neutral. So it's an itty bitty motion, seems very strange, but it's just such an underutilized, yep. And you can see you're even using your accessory muscles to help you there. All the more reason to do those neck stretches. This is really good. So this is scapular strengthening, so it's the muscles on the back side that keep your shoulder in a good neutral alignment.
And again, it's something that is challenging my balance, so that hopefully I'm building some balance along with doing this exercise.
So one modification might be, like if you felt like that was bringing you too far forward, let's release that. And just for the sake of everyone being able to see kind of what's happening, I'm gonna imagine that I'm a doorknob, okay? And so I'm gonna ask you to hold one in each hand, okay? And so this could actually wrap around a doorknob, and so you can just be facing the door. And then I'm gonna hold it, and you're just going to pull the band back and then slowly release forward. Tell me what.
So it's almost like a rowing exercise that you would do in a gym.
The other thing I would recommend is, like when you row back, try to keep your wrists neutral and not let them cock in or out.
Okay.
Does that feel different on your balance?
It does. I actually feel more balanced this way. But I feel like I'm getting a good stretch and a good workout.
Let's try one hand at a time. You're going to bring your elbow by your side, and then you're going to press down.
I think if I
let's stabilize on your. There we go.
There we go.
So this is another muscle, your tricep muscle. That's really important for postural control. And again, so as you can see, she's starting to lose form a little bit on that right shoulder, becoming, more protracted, wearing it as an earring. So then I would just take a breather.
Okay.
Yep, and just take a breath.
I think it's important to note that there, that there are multiple ways to do these exercises.
Correct.
And that, sometimes it's just kind of playing with it to see what works for your body. We can give some basic ideas of form, but you kind of see how your body works with the exercise and where you need to make the changes for your balance or your strength or any deficiency in a particular muscle.
Correct. And the beauty of these too is they can also be done in a laying down position. Okay, so you notice we're working most of the muscles on the back side of the body. We're not doing a lot of pectoral work. We're not doing a lot of bicep work, because more commonly, it's something you can strengthen, but more commonly, that's something you're already getting in your day-to-day activities. So the next level of strengthening for the shoulder scapular muscles would be to take a TheraBand, to stabilize it with your left hand on one side, and then use the loop of the right hand with the thumb pointing down. And then as you raise up, you elevate the thumb up and back. And so again, breath work, breathing out, breathing in as you come up. And you can see Tricia's doing a beautiful job of keeping that shoulder down, which means she's using her lower trapezius, so the big stabilizer of the shoulder, to keep good form. And so I would have her continue in those reps until she started to elevate her shoulder. And using this in front of a mirror is actually quite helpful, because then you start to see when you're substituting. Sometimes you just don't realize it. So this works deltoid, infraspinatus, upper trap, lower trap, rhomboid. So you're getting kind of a little bit of everything in this. So and it's an easy setup. I mean, you're holding it on one side.
You can use different weights of the band so that if you need to have a little bit more resistance, then you can do that.
Correct. Yeah. Okay, good. So we've started kind of light stretching. We've gone into more moderate stretching. We've gone into light strengthening. Now we've gone into more moderate to quite significant strengthening. So that's a really good starting place with not much equipment, and then you don't have to have a gym to do this. So let's do this. Let's follow up with just a little bit of stretching.
Okay.
And this dowel I got at Ace Hardware, I think for $3, and I did buy some little crutch tips to go with it so that it didn't slide on the floor. So it just gives you kind of a sense of stability. So one lovely thing you can do with this is you can kind of hold the pole just about 1.5 feet out in front of you, and then you can lean forward. You can even rest your head in between your biceps if that's uncomfortable or feels pinchy in your shoulders. And so we're getting a beautiful latissimus stretch, which is a muscle that's very commonly used and gets really, really tight. And so you can use it with both hands, or I'm going to have Trish show a modification here where she's holding it with her right hand and stabilizing with her left hand on the chair. And where do you feel that, Tricia?
I definitely feel it coming right down my side. I'm feeling a really great stretch, but I'm also feeling stable and safe.
Good.
Because I'm holding on with my left hand. I think that I could do both hands, but I think it would be challenging my balance, and I'm afraid that I would fall over or not be able to go as far. But if you have somebody who's able to, work with you, like Sarah is holding me, I feel a lot more balanced and stable with a little bit of assistance. So this might be something that you can do with somebody else, but it's also something that you can do by yourself, right? And just, be able to make some of these modifications to where you can stretch out but you're holding yourself up. So in case you, like me, don't have the core balance that you need to do it with 2 hands, then you can do it with 1. I think that's a great stretching option.
That's a really nice stretch. And this is a 48-inch by 1 1/8 inch dowel. That's what they're called, dowels. And so, yeah, very easy to use. And this blue stuff on here is just tape. And the tape just kind of gives you a little extra gripping point on there instead of just on a wooden splintery kind of dowel.
Great.
Okay, very nice. So let's move into some other stretches that complement the strengthening that we've been doing. Okay, great. So we're gonna show 2 final stretches that are really critical to this whole introductory piece that we talked about. So I've got Trish set up. She is got the arm that we're stretching is actually to the side of the wall. So this could be like a corner of a closet, it could be a hallway or a bathroom corner. So anywhere where you can kind of get your hand flat against the side paneling. So she has her elbow at 90 degrees. She's neutral. She's got her sternum elevated. She's tucking her shoulder blade down and back. She's got the crown of her head elevated toward the ceiling. And she is now going to use her left hand to create a little bit of twist in her spine. And as she twists, can you feel a difference in that stretch?
Yes.
So we're getting
a very good stretch.
Really, really nice stretch there of the pectorals. The pectorals kind of come in horizontal fibers and then they go kind of slightly vertical, about 45 degrees. So I'm going to have her release the left, and then I'm going to have her straighten her right arm up and then do the exact same thing. So we're getting the different fibers. So she's tucking down and back. She's got the crown of the head coming toward the ceiling, and she's using her left hand to create a spinal twist. That looks fantastic. And does that feel different to you?
It does feel a little bit different. It's giving me a little bit more stretch in my spine, I feel like, and it's, but I can definitely feel the stretch.
Excellent. So again, that typing on a computer, propelling a manual chair, doing heavy manual work, or just things that we do to the front, such as eating, brushing our teeth, all of those things lend themselves towards a tight pectoral region. So this is a really nice. Now, how long do you hold it for? That's one question I commonly get. And what I would say is, again, back to that rule of thumb, if you can hold the form and go a little longer, like in the minute range, 60 to 90 seconds, I think that's wonderful. If it feels pinchy on the shoulder joint or it just feels uncomfortable, you can bend the elbow and just back it off a little bit and go shorter time, maybe 20 seconds to start off with. But the main thing is you don't want to lean forward to create the stretch because you're just cranking on that shoulder joint. You want to use the left hand to create that spinal twist. And then I like the way she's turning her head to the left, so that's orienting her brain in that left direction as well. That's really nice. So elbow bent to 90 degrees and then elbow straight are the 2 parts of the pectorals that you're addressing there. Okay, so for our final exercise, we're going to move into a modification of downward dog. And so I'm going to have Trish just go to a regular wall that she has at home. She's going to place her hands on the wall, and she's going to allow her body to come forward. And so she wants to think about reaching the crown of her head towards the top of the wall. And then I'm just giving her a little cue in the back, and she wants to go as forward as she can. Again, if the shoulders are pinchy at all, she can squeeze her biceps against her head, but it looks like that actually feels quite good. So we're just going to kind of maintain that, getting a little lat stretch, and then also a little low back, a lumbar flexion stretch. Now, if we want to get really fancy with this, we can have her, Tricia, if you'll start to bring your left hand toward your right. And again, I'm just here really providing just a little tactile support, but I'm not really doing anything. So a modification on this is she just brings her hands as close as she can go together to feel the stretch, but still feel the boundary of safety without feeling like she's going to lose her balance. And now she's coming back to the center. And what this is doing here is this is opening the side body. So this is a really nice way to improve coughing. It's a great way to improve spinal alignment. It's a great way to stretch muscles that typically get very tight and asymmetrical. And that is a really, how does that feel to you, Trish?
That feels like a really nice stretch.
And is that,
Very nice.
does that hurt on your shoulders at all?
No, it's comfortable.
And I'm going to take my hand away.
Mm-hmm.
So the kind of cues I'm giving are more just to getting her to feel it, and then for someone else just to see where a cue might come in, but she's actually quite stable here. And then some big breaths, so think about opening in that left rib cage when you've got the both hands to the left, and then the right rib cage, so she's really expanding here when her hands are to the left. Then when she brings her hands to the right, there's expansion of that left rib cage. And the really nice zone of safety with this is she can begin to move her hands to midline, then place one hand in her lap, the other hand in her lap, and then she's supported.
That was a great stretch, a great way to end and feel nice and loose.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Nice job.
Thank you for joining Sarah Schaefer and me today for our first episode of Inclusive Fitness. Again, I want to remind you that all of the equipment that we use today can be easily purchased online. Sites like Amazon.com, Gaiam.com, Ace Hardware was where we got the dowel, and Dick's Sporting Goods, we got some of the bands. So these are readily accessible in your neighborhood or online, and you can use them to get a great workout at home for a low cost and high benefit. Thanks so much for joining us today.